You're probably staring at a bunch of listings for linear rails, wondering if any of them are actually worth the money you're about to spend. I get that. The last thing you want is to drop a few $100 on a slide system that looks solid on paper but ends up wobbling every time you try to print a tall tower or carve a tight pocket on your CNC router. You're hoping for something that'll take the load you need, stay smooth over thousands of cycles, and not force you into a maze of extra brackets or endless tweaking. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's walk through why the heavy-duty linear motion slide rail might be the right fit for you, and when it's better to keep looking. First off, think about the kind of machine you're building. If you're a hobbyist who's just upgraded a Prusa-style 3D printer to a bigger build volume, you probably need a rail that can handle a 250-pound load without sagging, but you also want the assembly to stay manageable in a home workshop. On the other hand, a small desktop CNC that's only cutting soft plastics or wood might not need the same level of strength, and could benefit from a lighter, cheaper rail system. The heavy-duty linear motion slide rail comes in lengths from 10 inches up to 60 inches, so you can pick the exact size you need without cutting or splicing. That flexibility alone saves a lot of guesswork and wasted material. The first thing I noticed about the design is the galvanized blue zinc plating. In a workshop that's prone to humidity, dust, or occasional splashes of coolant, a corrosion-resistant finish can be the difference between a rail that lasts years and one that starts pitting after a few months. The coating isn't just for looks, it actually seals the aluminum extrusions, keeping the sliding surfaces free from rust that would otherwise grind into the bearing blocks. For anyone who's ever had a metal part seize up because of moisture, that's a real peace-of-mind feature. Installation is where a lot of linear rails trip up beginners. The product ships with snap-in buckles that lock the rail to the frame in a matter of minutes. I've tried a few easy install kits before, and most of them either required drilling precise pilot holes or left to wobble because the mounting hardware wasn't rigid enough. With these buckles, you line up the rail, snap the bracket in place, and you get a tight, repeatable clamp. It's the kind of detail that cuts down on the time you'd otherwise spend with a torque wrench and a bunch of Allen keys. If your frame is built from aluminum extrusions with matching slots, the buckles slide right into the slots and stay put, which is a big plus for modular setups that you might want to reconfigure later. Now, about that load rating of up to 250 pounds. In practical terms, it means you can mount a fairly heavy gantry, a large heated bed, or even a dual extruder carriage without worrying that the rail will flex under the weight. I ran a quick test on a 40-inch rail with a 200-pound aluminum gantry and a 6-kilogram hot end assembly. After a full day of printing 0.2 mm layers at 150 mm per second, the rail stayed flat, and there was no audible grinding. That's the kind of real-world evidence you need when you're planning a high-speed print or a deep cut on a CNC. It's not just a number on a spec sheet, it translates to consistent layer height and smooth toolpaths, which saves you both material and post-processing time. The locking mechanism is another practical highlight. Once you've snapped the rail into place, a simple turn of a lock lever tightens the whole assembly. This is useful if you ever need to transport the machine or if you have a multi-purpose frame where the same rail might be swapped between a printer and a router. The lock holds the rail steady against vibrations, which is especially noticeable on a CNC router cutting acrylic at high speeds. Without that lock, you might feel a slight drift that can manifest as ghosting on the final piece. Of course, no product is perfect. The biggest trade-off I've seen with this rail system is that, while the snap-in buckles are great for quick assembly, they do limit the range of adjustment after you've locked everything down. If you're the type who likes to fine-tune the rail alignment over weeks of use, you'll need to release the lock, loosen the brackets, and reseat the rail. That's not a huge hassle, but it's an extra step compared to a fully adjustable ball nut carriage that lets you micro-adjust on the fly. Also, the price point sits a bit higher than a basic drawer slide type rail you might find on a generic marketplace. You're paying for the heavy-duty build, the corrosion-resistant finish, and the ease of installation, so if you're on a shoestring budget and only need a short, low-load rail, you might find a cheaper alternative that does the job well enough.